Greetings from lovely far northern New Hampshire, north in fact of the Vermont-Canadian border, of which I just skirted along on my way to get here. I'm getting ready to do the video tomorrow in the so-called Northeast Kingdom of Vermont. But today I figured I'd revisit a place where I guess I technically took a video here, but it's not very good. I'm in pretty low spirits. This is ancient by the standards of the area, Thuya occidentalis swamp, or I guess you could say generally a coniferous swamp. There's technically two types of swamp here. Right here where we're at is Thuya occidentalis, which you're looking at right now. Timely because a video that I made last year will be going up probably the same weekend that I'm filming this about this plant. But I got a few things wrong in that video. What I got right was that this is in the redwood family Cupressaceae. It is the longest lived tree in the Northeast. I did state that we were at the southern extent of its range. I've since realized that New Hampshire, northern Maine, northern Vermont do make up the southern extent of its range. In New England, it occurs, pretty far south down the Hudson River Valley, and then you get it scattered throughout high peaks of Appalachia, westward. It's a little bit further south, but by and large, it is a northern trending species. Thuya, you get a species out west, Thuya plicata, which grows much larger. I don't know if one grows older than the other, but both being in the redwood family are fascinating trees from a rather ancient lineage of plants. Unlike the last video, I'm able to get up close pretty good with these. I'll show you that in a second. Some of the other tree species you have dominant in this swamp, and remember, a swamp and a bog share a lot in common, but a bog will generally be pretty open, and a swamp will be wooded, such as this. This entire substrate upon which we find ourselves is all just waterlogged moss floating over peat, and you get that whole non-decomposition thing going on whenever you have an anoxic environment. Though there is a ton of vegetative matter here, none of it is accessible, or very little of it is accessible to the plants around it. However, in a swamp with the lack of sun, we're not seeing many coniferous plants. What we are seeing is a nice diversity of conifers. You have the aforementioned, Thuya occidentalis. You have balsam fir, Apis balsamea, playing a dominant role here in the understory. You have Larix laricina, the tamarack tree, a little bit farther up. And then you've got two species of picea, two species of spruce farther up in more of a spruce tamarack swamp, a little bit higher up than we are right now. I'll give you, a good overview. I might even split it into two videos, talk about the conifers, talking about some of the flowering plants you've got going on here. Some real interesting ones I've seen so far. I was kind of feeling pessimistic at first. Admittedly, only one of them seems to be in full bloom right now. Oh, I'm sorry. Two species of orchids I've come across so far. Only one of them seems to be in full bloom. One of them actually looks very much like it's on its way out, which I'll talk to when we get to it. You get a nice species of oxalis I've talked about before. You have a real interesting circoboreal species in the family Cupressaceae that I'll be talking about. And then that might honestly be it. I could probably fit that all into one video. So what you're looking at here, like I said before, is Thuya occidentalis. Those are those trunks down there. Actually, right in the foreground there. I'll zoom in for you. That's a balsam fir right there, kind of growing underneath. But Thuya occidentalis, he's up there in the overstory. I had made a mistake in saying these things get huge. These are only ever, a medium to a small to medium sized tree. They don't get nearly as large as their western redwood cousins. You could get them in a regular forest, but really what they do well in this region is they just dominate these cedar swamps, as they're erroneously called, because you got to remember, anything in North America called a cedar is most likely a juniper or a some type of other redwood, like a thuya, like a juniper, Chamaecyparis oftentimes gets called cedar. Specifically, they'll call these northern white cedar. But I mean, I don't really have to go on that long about them. I'll turn the camera this way. I'll give you a look at what's going on with the habitat here. It's been raining non-stop for weeks at this point. I haven't even really shot any videos for quite a while. Yeah, you can see right here. There you go. Yeah, there's that thuya, and there's basically what we're in. So I'll shut this off right now. I'll pause. I'll give you a look at the foliage. We will, take a look at some of the other stuff going on around here. I'll give you a good look at the balsam fir. I'll talk briefly about the larix just because it's here. Yeah, I mean, you get like 5 species of conifer growing all in succession. There's a species of alder that grows in the understory here as well. So I'll show you that. I'll show you these 2 orchids. I'll show you this cool, I guess technically you could call it a honeysuckle. And then we'll, hope that we can, find some interesting stuff tomorrow as well. Generally speaking, I can't get enough of these types of habitats, just in general. So without further ado, let me give you a close-up. I got a small thuya here next to me. I just want to put the macro lens on for that. Okay, so here's one of these younger Thuya occidentalis specimens. Very, very long-lived tree. I mean, I say I was not wrong in the last video when I said these can live to be like 1,500 years old. Typically, they don't get that old. This one's obviously much younger than that. And what's really notable about these trees and why they've been planted out ornamentally outside of their range so often is just this lovely, intricate, scale-like foliage. I guess Thuya plicata, you flip them on the other side, it's got something different going on. I can get right in there for you. I don't have the macro mode on right this second, but that's fine. You get the idea. Just nice scale-like needles. And then, again, you gotta always fumble with the zoom. That's what the branching looks like. Here's that new growth right there. No cones on this young guy. Well, let me come over here. I'll show you what the bark looks like on a more mature one because it's really fascinating. See, here's a more mature one. Lovely bark, almost papery. Although it's kind of, actually feels spongy. And they kind of twist. If you can get the gist of that, they kind of twist as they grow upward, which I believe a lot of conifers do. Not even necessarily restricted to conifers. I know hemlocks can do that. I'm just looking up for cones. I think the cones probably appear later on these. Lovely stack of them right here. And I mean, they could get thick. They could definitely get thick, but they just don't seem to really get, don't really seem to ever really get that tall. But yeah, that's enough on Thuya occidentalis for now. I believe, there's no redwoods in the Sequoiae, however you say that, Sequoiae tribes, Sequoiae subfamily of the family Cupressaceae, but these are pretty close to the outgroup for the Cupressaceae subfamily. So basically these are, these thuyas here are the most basal member of Cupressaceae. I really hope I'm not screwing you up here, and I probably am, and I probably should just stop talking, but just know that unlike junipers, of which we have 3 species, these broke off a bit longer ago, if that makes sense. So they are a bit closer to the base model, so to say, of the redwood family than our junipers are. Junipers and pines kind of both have that in common, relatively recent members of long-lived lineages, whereas sequoias, out there on the west coast, those broke off quite a bit longer ago. Thuyas, just within their own tribe in that family, or in their own subfamily within that family, whatever, they are a bit, they've been around unchanged a bit longer, if that makes sense. If that comes across as a little bit hard to understand, don't worry too much about it. So obviously these things are everywhere. They're doing well. There's a ton of recruitment of them. You'll see these oftentimes in cultivation without saplings underneath them, so they can tolerate, you know, a pretty wide variety of conditions. I just don't think that they can reproduce in that wide variety of conditions. You get a plant. I've been here before, actually, if I didn't mention that. This plant was the only thing blooming when I was here last time. This is actually a member of the buttercup family, Ranunculaceae. This is, of course, now I'm going to forget the plant they see. It's the marsh marigold. Come on, you know this. Whatever. I'll put the thing there, down there at the bottom, because I can't remember. And I just did Caltha palustris. That's what all this down here is. Beautiful yellow buttercup flowers on it when it was in bloom. Although I was pretty, you know, I was pretty upset that it was the only thing in bloom up here when I came through last time. We're pretty high up and we're very far north. I think we're at like 1,500 feet above elevation, 1,500 feet above sea level here. And just at the 45th parallel. In fact, I'll put the little funny video I did. I'll include that in this. That's worth including. And in fact, I've got video footage of that Caltha palustris. I believe I have that I can include as well. So let's go. We'll probably take a look at those orchids, or maybe I'll see what makes sense. Either the honeysuckle or the orchids. So I'll check back in with you 1 second. Okay, right here you got one of my favorites. You got balsam fir, Abies balsamea, growing here under the shade of a rather large Phylogeny. Another conifer. This one's in the pine family, though. In fact, everything else in here besides the Thuya is in the pine family, Pinaceae. You get this guy, you know, pretty high up in the mountains. I always associated it with, you know, those said mountains. But no, it can be a flatland tree too. You know, super cold tolerant. Hang on, here's one I can get the needles down to, or I can see the needles on. Super cold tolerant. Here's some of the new growth. Super fragrant. Just lovely smelling tree. It would help if I had the macro mode on, but you see those little suction cup bases there? I'll put a little arrow there. You know, that is a giveaway that this is a fir and not a spruce. And then additionally, the fact that these needles are flat. So, you know, spruce has almost like a triangle and a diamond shape and cross section is what you're working with spruce. And it's nice and soft and fluffy. So, and it doesn't really, as far as I know, at least not around here, co-occur with hemlock, which has a, you know, overall kind of a different form to it. None of these guys with cones. I've seen some big ones recently with some real nice cones on them, but you know, not here, I guess, not today anyway. But lovely tree. One of the first ones I really fell in love with, you know, in the mountains, being a climber. And then here's that species of alder, Alnus, covered in galls too. Obviously something likes this. It's participating in the ecosystem. Something's using this as a host plant. I don't know much about alders. I'll tell you that alders generally like the water. They generally like the water, and that they're in the birch family, Betulaceae. So they got those two things going for them. But yeah, I don't even know what specific species this is. I could probably find out after. I'll take a couple pictures and we'll see if we can document that. But this is really the only hardwood tree, you know, really participating here, which in of itself is worth note, and is indicative of a very different type of ecosystem you might be familiar with if you're, you know, further south in here. If you're in those, you know, the oak and pine hardwood forests, or the mixed hardwood forests, or even a you know, a beech-dominated hardwood forest. Even around here, they still have hardwood forests, just they're a little bit different than the oak and pine stuff you get a little bit further south. Anyway, let's go. That's enough about trees for right now. Let's go look at some flowers. Okay, right here we get a real nice patch of a cool plant I've been wanting to see for a while. One that has a wide circumboreal distribution. That means if you're at a high enough altitude, i.e., you know, far enough north. They say altitude or latitude? I meant latitude. If you're at a high enough latitude, you know, far enough north, you probably have this growing. This is Linnea borealis, the twin flower, the family Cupressaceae, named for the man himself, the genus anyway, Carolinus Linnaeus. Take a look at those insides there. Look how beautiful and rosy pink. Let me see if I can tweak the zoom a bit for you. There's a fern in the way. How beautiful and rosy pink those insides are. So nice. Always two of them on the stalk too. Interesting. You know, if the you know, the distribution thing of it wasn't interesting enough, you know, a lot of plants do that. A lot of circumboreal plants, you know, not do the twin thing. There's just a lot of circumboreal plants. And I'll show you the leaves. It's got opposite leaves. Caprifoliaceae. I don't remember offhand what order that is. The honeysuckle family, and most of them are dealing with opposite leaves. You know, just like this. Of course, most of them are also, you know, bushes, shrubs, etc. Not little, you know, not little herbaceous, cute little herbaceous flowers like this. But one I've been wanting to see for a long time. You know, it's everywhere here. You know, I've seen this guy all up and down the trail. You know, here's some really good ones right here. Let's see, get that in focus for you. You know, there's a nice patch. Got the fused corolla. How many lobes? How many lobes are you working with? 5? Yep, 5. Oh, just a nice plant. And then when it's done, you can see they're at kind of all stages of development here. Some are still in bud. There's what that maturing little fruit looks like. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. More of the leaves for you. You know, I guess you get it in the Great Lakes, you get it all throughout Canada. I've never seen it. I had always thought it was more of an alpine plant here in New England, but I guess not. I guess it'll, you know, take a advantage of a nice, you know, high elevation Thuya swamp, and do just fine within it. Let's continue on. I'm hoping that I did not lose the spot that I had seen the at least one of those orchids in. Actually, I'll talk about this for 1 second. Not at length, because I've done so before. You get a nice rhododendron right here, not in bloom. But it's, you know, I'd recognize those fuzzy undersides anywhere. This is a rhododendron growing Landicum, once placed in its own genus, but a subsequent taxonomic revision has actually put this in the core subfamily, or the core subgenus of the rhododendron genus. Is well over 1,000 of them. Quite a few lovely ones here in the Northeast. I'm going to do a video on one of them on my way home. I'm thinking rhododendron maximum down in southwestern New Hampshire on my way back home. That should be in bloom right now. But this one, you know, it blooms a little bit earlier. Actually, these ones don't even look like they're big enough to bloom. It's probably just taking advantage because this is a sunny spot. I didn't see it growing anywhere else. But certainly, if it can get sun in a swamp, you know, in a little seep like this, I'd imagine it'd be able to take advantage. You know, famous, at least in my book, because I love it, for those fuzzy undersides. Oh, I love the fuzzy undersides. Yeah, formerly in the genus Ledum. I think now Ledum is a subsection of the genus Rhododendron. They got a lot of rhododendrons. But yeah, you'll see this one anywhere you get this boggy, swampy. Well, not even the swampy, but the boggy, waterlogged stuff. You know, or even up in the alpine zone, you'll see those. Yeah, there's the little wood boards that get us walking on. Let's go see what else is going on. All right, this God, this poor bastard has seen better days. I actually just picked a slug off of it, but this is the very, 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 very tail end of the season for these. In fact, they're not even really in. Oh God, I gotta move my leg out of the way. They're not even really supposed to be in season right now. This is July. These are blooming in usually May. This is Cypripedium parviflorum. This is you know, one of the various, well, not various, but this is a yellow lady slipper. There's various, you know, subspecies and this, you know, pubescens or whatever. Just know that this is Cypripedium parviflorum. I couldn't give you better diagnostic info than that, even if I wanted to. As you can see, it's labellum down here. It's modified in a slightly different way than the much more, you know, well-known, at least to us, or where I'm from, in, you know, southeastern New England. We all know the yellow lady slipper. This is the, we all know the pink lady slipper. And, you know, I told people, I'm like, yeah, I really want to see a yellow lady slipper. They said they had never heard of one. You know, these are actually much more common in general than the Cypripedium macaw, the pink lady slipper, is. Much more widespread as well. You get these pretty much throughout, at least the northern half of the United States. I'll correct myself, of course, if I'm wrong. But you can see, still get that labellum modified into a pouch nut, split down the middle, like Cypripedium macaw is, rather just open up top. Here's that column right in here. These would have been, the two petals. It's long gone. It's kind of hard to tell. There's that column in there. Remember, 2 anthers, not a pollinia. It's full of water. As you can see, there's that ripening ovary, still with the bract subtending it. Must have been pollinated. And then on the bottom, rather than having the 2 basal leaves like Cypripedium macaw has, which is actually where it gets that epithet, you can see this actually has cauline leaves. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. So that's actually where Cypripedium macaw kind of gets its epithet from. It's from not having cauline leaves like some of its cousins. Maybe next year I can catch these in full bloom. I actually don't even see really that many basal leaves, left over from them. I don't know. I know that they do grow here. In fact, if you look up this location, which I'm keep to myself for now, it does mention, that there are, it has this plant right on the page. So cool to finally, goddamn, see one. Actually, we're right. I'm right next to the other species of orchid I'm going to talk about, but I'm gonna get my bearings. I just want to confirm what species that is exactly. So cool, awesome that we finally get to see it. Too bad it's kind of on its way out. The reason I should have said this when I was kind of explaining the habitat here. So yes, we are in a coniferous swamp. Specifically, this is above an outcrop of shale. Shale is a sedimentary rock. It's rather calcareous, rather basic, very different from the granite and the metamorphic stuff that underlies most of the rest of my particular neck of New England. This grows abundantly on that calcareous soil. You go to, I'm in Vermont. I'm staying in Vermont right now as I'm filming this video. This guy becomes a lot more common as you head west. And you got 2 other species in New England, 3 other species in the Northeast, one of which is remarkably rare. You have, Cypripedium macaw, which the pink lady slipper, very famous. Cypripedium parviflorum, which is pretty abundant in the western, like in Vermont, it's pretty abundant. But then you also have Cypripedium reginae, and then Cypripedium arietinum, which are pretty rare. And then there's Cypripedium candidum, which is not in New England, only in one extant location in New York. So, all that being said, you're seeing this here in northern New Hampshire just because there is a shale outcrop underneath us, changing the soil chemistry and thus affecting the plant life. Pretty damn interesting if you ask me, but you don't have to ask me. I already told you, and I'm content to leave this guy alone. I'm happy that I figured that out off the cuff, that's why Cypripedium macaw is called that. No cauline leaves whatsoever, just 2 basal leaves on Cypripedium macaw, and then you can see 3 cauline leaves on this plant here. 1, 2, 3. Kind of hard to, I think the sepals are long gone off of this. It would have the 2 fused sepals. But I think these are the 2 petals on the side, and this is the 3rd modified petal. In fact, maybe I can get in there a little bit more. It's not really gonna make too big of a difference. Here's that, goddamn, here's that staminode. Cypripedium oftentimes has. And that pollen's long gone. It's a spent flower. You get what I mean. I think this is, I could do a little bit of looking, see if I can figure out which specific subspecies this is, but, whatever. It's Cypripedium parviflorum, and it's pretty cool to finally meet you. Hopefully we can try again next year under better circumstances, my friend. Okay, and we'll get close to wrapping up here. I'll take a couple shots of the the spruce swamp up here. We get a species of I put my hand in a poor slug. I'm sorry, buddy. We had a species of Platanthera here. Either Acleonis or Huronensis. I believe this is Acleonis. I can't pronounce it. There's two that are very, very similar. This one doesn't have a scent, so it's whatever one that is. And yes, believe it or not, those are orchid flowers there. Somewhat hard to see, but if I, turn it around, you could see how that's a Platanthera. Let me actually make sure I'm showing you what I'm looking at here. Let me see here. Bring this around. That's an individual flower. Here would be the ovary down here. You can see two of the petals. This guy too also looks like it's on its way out, although we might have, yeah, there's a good one right there. So some of these, this one is on its way out. I saw two more that were just emerging, so I decided to go with this one. No real aroma to it. One is scented, one isn't. I just have to figure out which between the two. The inflorescence looks a bit different as well between the two of them. And this guy's actually, he's got decent size on him. Here are the leaves sheathing. Almost looks like grass, unless you really know what you're looking at. And just really, I just want to get in there because I know I'll be able to get a good shot of the flower. There we go. There's a good flower right there for you. Beautiful. There's supposed to be another orchid here, Coiloglossum, which is super long blooming. I think that might come out later, because if that blooms May to August, yeah, even down south, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't be coming out for a while. But anyway, we'll settle for this one for now. We'll settle. I'm never settling. I've met three new species of plant today, new to me anyway. There's a cows moving in the background. There's a farm around here, I guess, somewhere. But it's a really interesting plant. Yeah, I think I don't really have much else to say about it. Platanthera, there's a whole bunch of Platanthera. I think there's more species of Platanthera than there are any other type of orchid. It's got these really interesting bracts that subtend all the flowers, which I'm trying to get in focus right there. This thing's tiny up close. They're a little bit easier to see at the base. And then you can see there's one that's done with that ripening ovary. I mean, I just got a fetish for orchids. There's like 65 different species native to the region. All of them are just super cool. Some, like Platanthera, are actually pretty large genera, But I don't know. The sun's it's not so much that the sun is setting; it's just getting dark because it has not stopped raining in 40 days, in 40 nights. Platanthera, one of two species. I'll correct it if I'm wrong. If there's any other cool information, I'll be sure to put it in the little subtitles there. But I gotta I'll take a few more pictures of this, and then I think I'll just show you what we're working with when we go up out of here. And yeah, we should probably get going. I gotta drive an hour back now to Vermont. I gotta pick up a couple things at the store anyway, and then we're doing this, all day tomorrow. And there's even a little bog at the campground I'm staying at, so I'll go check that out probably. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe on my way out on Sunday. In any case, go look at one or two more things. We'll get out of here. Oh, hey, look! You got a cool member of the Senecio tribe. A cool Senecio here. This is a Pachyra. This is actually a pretty restricted range Pachyra. If I'm not mistaken, this is Pachyra schweinitziana. This is New England ragwort. Typical Pachyra inflorescences. You always got to flip them over, Asteraceae is the family. Senecio tribe, like I just said. Always got to flip them over. Take a look at the phyllaries there. And take a look at the, oh god, this guy's in a tangle of shit. Take a look at those, where are we looking here? Those clasping leaves, if you can make that out. What an interesting texture to those margins. Huh? A new one to me. I'm not super into Pachyra as far as the Asteraceae goes, but I should be. But a lot of them are pretty darn interesting. Let's keep going. It's starting to drizzle again. Okay, here you can see we've switched from Thuya occidentalis and balsam fir to Larix laricina, tamarack tree, which I'm put this thing down. The tamarack tree with those deciduous needles, and then what I can only imagine is a mixture of Picea mariana and Picea rubens, red and black spruce. It's going to be a little bit difficult for me to make that call. I usually go off the cones. This is another way to tell. In fact, I'm pretty sure these would be black spruce. They've got the bloom on the needles, whereas red spruce is a little bit more, shiny and vibrant green. These kind of have that dull, almost gray-green color to them that you would expect to see, from a black spruce. Not where they get that common name though from what I hear. But anyway, I hope that was at least moderately interesting for you. You see, here's a little young one. In fact, I think you could tell because if these are, they don't have resinous buds. There's a small one, and that's supposed to mean something. One of them has resinous buds, one doesn't. Here, you can see what I mean when I say that those needles have a bloom to them. Those older growth needles, they kind of have that gray blush to them. That's going to be Picea mariana, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be the black spruce. Not to say that there's not red spruce in here. I just, for my money, I'm going to bet that that's that. Over there, you can see the Thujax natalis from whence we came. This is the kind of the transition right here. And I think that's going to do it. Hopefully tomorrow will be as good of an episode. I forgot my boots at home, 3 hours south of here. Completely trashed a pair of Chucks. That's okay. I'm just wearing them like water shoes anyway right now. And I'm going to get in my car, dry these off, and hopefully we'll have a good day tomorrow. So on that note, I will see you then. Okay, 2 quick things before we go actually. You didn't have these down in the Thuja swamp, but you have them up here in the more spruce-dominated swamp. Get a species of Oxalis. Oops, there we go, zoom in for you. Oxalis montana with the lovely pink flowers, complementing the lovely pink flowers of Linnea borealis. How about that? Oxalidaceae is the cool family shamrock plant. I sell these at house plants. My mom's got one. I was trying to tell her mom, you rip species of Oxalis out of your garden. You go into the store and freaking buy one. Whatever, make it make sense. And then you get a species of Galteria here. You get the creeping snowberry. Galteria, is it procumbens or no? Galteria procumbens is the tea berry. This is, I think, Galteria hispida. I could be wrong on that. It's definitely a species of Galteria. Family's Ericaceae. Super common in this type of, I see it on the mountains. I'll see these 2 species growing together on mountains. You also have Cornus canadensis back there. Some of them still in bloom, but I talked about that plant so many times. I'm kind of a little bit bored of it. In any case, that's actually it. It's getting dark, and I don't feel like getting trench foot. And there's spooky things making weird noises, out in the swamp. So let's just let's call it there, and let's head back to the campsite. Take it easy. Okay, here's a really cool monotrope. Had to bring out the lamp light because it got really dark. This is Orthelia secunda. This is one I didn't even really think to look for. I forgot that these are, these are a frequent inhabitant of these, so-called cedar swamps. Got to remember, of course, monotropoideae, working with the mycorrhiza. There's a lot of parasitic, mycoheterotrophic, fungal parasites in this subfamily of the family Ericaceae, and no more apparent is this a member of the Ericaceae than just by looking at those urceolate corollas and those little dangly stamens. That's giving you monotrope vibes right there. And of course, you can't really see just because it's rather diminutive. I will try to get in there for you. But it's got these like weird curved back, there they are, stamens that a lot of the Pyrolii tribe within the Monotropoideae family has. There's the leaves down there, nothing to write home about. Little basal rosette. They all got except for the parasitic ones that are achlorophyllous. They make no chlorophyll and have no leaves. Most of them have a little basal rosette. You know, there's another one right here. Just a little patch of them by a lamplight. Let's, you know, it wasn't even, I completely forgot that I should even look for these guys. Completely forgot. Sorry, guys. You're my favorite subfamily of the blueberry family too. How about that?